Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tip Tuesday. This is Jeffrey Nance here with you. We are scheduled to cover a topic, and we have debated this. I'm pretty sure we covered it, so you guys can let me know. Maybe I did it for something else. I do so many of these webinars, I'm losing track now of when I covered what, but I was pretty sure we were on here and we did cover the Santa Claus effect, the idea whether or not the market actually goes up in December. I'm pretty positive that we have already covered that here. And yet the person in charge says she doesn't remember us covering that or posting a topic on that. So if you're with me and you're like, yeah, you definitely did, let me know over in the comments section, and then we'll go a slightly different way with this if you've seen this before. If not, then we'll go ahead and cover that as scheduled. I'll be glad to walk through that. So if any of you guys specifically remember me talking about this and going back through like over a decade of Decembers and kind of looking at that, let me know over in the comments section. And if not, we'll cover it and I'll repeat myself. But it'll be new to you guys apparently because you haven't heard it yet. So what is the idea behind the Santa Claus effect? It's the thought that in general, because people are out there buying more, that for the most part, the market has a tendency to go up in the month of December. And the conclusion there for you, of course, then as well, then I should certainly be bullish in the month of December, simply because the market has a tendency or pattern through the years to go up in December. So the first question that we need to answer today is it true? All right. So we have historical data. We can go back and look at it. And is it true? Is December a month where it's noticeable that the market tends to go up in December, whereas in other months we'd be like, it's tricky. Maybe it's up, maybe it's down. But in December, yeah, you can see it's clearly up and it's regular, and that's a thing. So that's the first question that we'll answer. Is that a thing? Is it clear that the market really does move up in December, and does it do that historically each time, right? So is that something that is a pattern that December is just generally a month where the market moves up? If that's the case, then we'll take that into effect and see how that should impact us in our trading decisions. Number two, if the market does have a tendency to go up in December, is it noticeable? So is it something that's so clear and so visible that it becomes something where you go, wow, I mean, if I am not trading in the month of December, I could really be missing some opportunities because historically the market really goes up in December, at least according to the Santa Claus effect. And then the last thing that we'll do is we'll compare. So the month of December to other months of the year, is it noticeably different? Is there something about the month of December where you're like, whoa, that is major, like that is a big deal? So again, we have historical data. We can go back and look at that historical data, and then we can answer these questions. And the last thing I would say to you is perhaps the Santa Claus effect isn't really real, and that it's really more dependent on what the market is doing at that time, that there are actually other factors like news and economy that impact what happens in December way more than some theory called the Santa Claus effect. All right, so let's go out there and let's look at some of these things. So I'm going to share my screen. Hold on a second. It's not picking me up here. Oh, I see. There we go. All right. Now let's see. Looks like it's going really slow this morning. I'm not able to see what I want to see here. Let's make sure you guys are seeing. Yeah, that screen looks blank, doesn't it? It's not really helpful to us. So it's interesting. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm going to stop sharing again briefly, just so you can see me. I'm not real sure why this is not coming up like it should. I'm going to try it again. Done this plenty of times before, but for some reason it is not showing up like it ought to. And I'm not really sure why. That's very interesting. It acts like it could do it. I'm going to share again. All right, now let's see. All right, now there we go. All right, good. Now you can see what I want you to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the S&P, which is the S&P 500, and it's a good measure of what the overall market is doing. And what we're going to do is we're going to set that to a monthly chart. So we're going to go back well over a decade, and then I will kind of show you what the month of December. So when you look at these candlesticks again, each one will represent a month, and we'll go back over a decade and just see, is there anything noticeable about December? So in other words, is there a pattern that December is clearly the same from one year to the next? And the next thing we'll look at is to say, okay, if there is a discernible pattern there, is it noticeable? Like, is it very different than other months? Is December like a month that really stands out? And then the last thing we'll see is, is this something that's sustainable? So is it predictable, repeatable, and reliable that December is indeed a month where the market has a strong tendency to move up, and that we would really be missing out on something if we didn't jump into the market during that time. So let's go out here. I'm going to jump over to the S&P. The 500 there. All right, and we will move this to a monthly, and then I will zoom out so we can see many years here. All right, well, that's about, that's a little over a decade there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit my period key and go back out here, and let's go to 2010. Now in 2010, if we look over here, I don't know I hope you guys can see that on your screen, but right here, that's a pretty sizable move, a pretty sizable, pretty noticeable upward candlestick in December in 2010. So there's one. Well, now let's go over to 2011. 2011 is up 57, but is that a noticeable candlestick? No, we can barely see it. So it is again up, but not very noticeable, not very different than anywhere else. 2012, it's up, but for the entire month, the S&P is up a whopping 10 points. 10 points. Okay. That's certainly not noticeable, visible, but again, it is up. So 3 years it's been up. 2013, it's up 42. Okay. 2014, it's up a whopping 5 points that month. 5 points for the entire month. 2015. Oh, down 59. Oops, certainly didn't get a good Santa Claus rally that year. 2016, up 40 points. 2017, having trouble getting right on it there. Why is it not going to December here for me? Let's see. It's skipping to January. I don't know why it's not showing me. Well, either way, that's certainly seems to be up there. I don't know why that one's not really giving us a good chance there to look at that, but that's a good one. All right, over here. All right. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Barely up. barely up at all, right? And then look at what happened in January. Massive drop in January. Over here, December, up about 26. Now, this one here is going to be fairly noticeable, up 358. So after the COVID bear market, we had a big December rally. And then over here in 2021, the market was actually down about 53 points. So far this year, the S&P is actually up quite a bit. But that's going to adjust, because what we'll see here is when we go out to real time and we look at basically what's happening in December, it's been pretty negative so far. All right, pretty negative so far. So December looks like it's probably coming in red. Certainly every day of December so far, every day of December. Okay. Now we're in the first week of December, but every day of December so far has been a red day. Now that doesn't tell us that's the way it's going to be for the whole month, but certainly it is not very cheery so far in the month of December. So what is our conclusion here? Well, there were quite a few months when the market indeed was up in December. All right, so that's the answer to our first question. Were there several months or many months when the market was up in December? And the answer to that question would be yes. Yes, there were many months when the market was up in December. Now, let's answer question number 2. Was it discernibly different than any other month of the year? And the answer to that question, really outside of maybe 2010, is no. Certainly not in 11, certainly not in 12, certainly not in 13, nor 14, nor 15, nor 16, nor 17, nor 18, nor 19. But yes, in 2020, yes, it was noticeable and it was big. But outside of that, none of these final candlesticks, none of these monthly candlesticks look significantly different than any other month of the year. All right, so there's nothing to conclude here that December just stands out as a month when, wow, December is really different than any other regular month in the year. Like it's really different than, April. It's really different than October. No, this seems to indicate that for the most part, it's just a month. It's December. But from the market's perspective, despite all of our euphoria and our desire to give gifts and receive gifts and all that stuff, that really there isn't a strong Santa Claus effect that really separates the month of December, from any other month of the year. So number 3, what's our conclusion? Is trading in December significantly different than trading at any other point in the year? And I think the answer to that is no, it's really not. Is it more bullish overall? Yes, I think as a whole, we have concluded that generally speaking, December is a bullish month overall. The market does have a tendency to go up in December, but we could probably say the same thing about other months too. If we made a big deal and went back and did this same challenge with, say, the month of February or something like that. So it's not discernibly different in December than it would be at other times of the year. All right. So what does that say to us, to you guys as traders trying to think through this Santa Claus effect? Well, one, if you enter trades, that's fine. And for the most part, through the years, December has been a month where the market has a tendency to go up, and therefore you would expect that most stocks would move up in December. However, is it a given that December is going to be a month where you always see upward momentum? That is not the case. It is more dependent on the economy and news at that particular time. And each year is different than the one before. So for the most part, we can treat December like we would any other month. We need to be aware of factors that are influencing the market. We need to be looking at technical data to make our trading decisions, not just simply saying, hey, it's December. market's got to go up. Let me go run and get into some bullish positions because the market always goes up in December. I think what we've found is that that's not true. In fact, there was a month or two, one in particular, where we saw a really big move down in December. So far this year, each day of trading has been in the red. Is this going to be one of those months where we look back historically and go, whoa, that was definitely not a happy December? It's possible. We'll see if the market continues to fall. If it breaks through the 20-day, we very well could be looking at something like that. So in conclusion, guys, you can trade in December. You can feel confident trading in December, but you really shouldn't treat trading in December any differently than you would any other time of the year. There's nothing that stands out about December that says, wow, if you don't trade in December, you're really missing out on a lot of bullish opportunities. The same could be said about any month when the market has a noticeable move up, but I would argue that there's some months there on that chart where you can see a discernible movement at other times of the year, and we don't really talk much about that. So is the Santa Claus effect a real thing? Probably not. Probably not. All right. So historically, does the market move up in December? I think the data would say yes. Historically, over the last decade or so, the market has generally moved up in December. Is it noticeable? Not really. Right. There's nothing about December that makes it stand out from any other month of the year as like a particularly bullish month when compared to any other month. So how would it impact our trading? I would say not much. Not much. That's our conclusion, is that it historically has not made a significant impact. Therefore, since we are looking at patterns, we would then say there is a pattern for it to go up, but it is dependent on economic factors, and it's not significant enough for me just to go jump into stuff because it's December and not really factor in technical analysis and market tone and other factors like that. So that is our tip for today, guys. Thank you for being on with us, and we will see you guys next time.